Awesome. And we're live again. Session 2. This is going to be a good one.
Yes.
For anyone joining us, absolutely welcome. Lovely to have you here. And, I appreciate that last time we had a little bit of a glitch with the link. So hopefully that's all sorted tonight. Obviously, if you've registered and you want links, whatever else, we can send you some replays. Not a problem.
Yes.
So tonight we are going to dive into hidden costs. And so I want to open with, if you think you're fine, you're probably not.
Yes.
And the reason I say this is because I got given an absolutely beautiful acronym as a teenager, actually, from one of my mother's friends. And she said, the way you would describe fine is as freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And I tell you what, the more I say the word fine, the more I realize how accurate she was. It's
so
just like,
spot on.
Because when you say you're fine, right? So Lisa, if I was to say, yeah, you're fine, it's kind of like I'm shelving my emotions. I'm shelving because it's almost that case of saying, hey, do you know what? If I was to actually tell you how I might be here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it's that moment. Whereas if somebody goes, no, I'm good. I'm doing really good. Yeah, no, really happy. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a very different conversation, a very different vibe. Equally, somebody going, I'm not in a good space. They're not in a good space. But somebody who's fine is often just putting up that shield. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to go down there. And actually, that's quite a dangerous space to be in. So,
it is.
Dare I ask you, have you ever felt fine and maybe not been so
fine? Yes. Yes. Oh, so often. And before I describe that, just a thing, I think one of the main reasons people do that is they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want people to reject them. And it could just be in a situation too where it's just not really appropriate. Like if you're passing somebody in the hall at work, and they say, so how are you? I'm having a shitty day. It's terrible. And this is happening and blah, 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 and the person's looking at you like, really? You had to go there. So, but yes,
yeah,
I'm a queen of saying that. My husband has learned that if I say I'm fine, I'm probably not. And it's just, and I guess what gets more irritating is when they keep asking you, are you sure? You don't act like you're fine. I'm fine. Really? Because I am fine. And clearly you're not. You're not. Yeah.
And I think the power in that moment is actually, and it's certainly something I had to learn as well, because I used to say, yeah, I'm fine. And then somebody go like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
And you're kind of going, if you ask me one more time, I might actually throw you through the window. and so it's like that moment of saying, okay, I acknowledge that if actually on the second ask, it's annoying me, the response is not that I'm fine. So the response is like, look, it doesn't matter right now. I'm not going to go into it. But look, ask me another day.
Yes.
That is actually an okay response. I think many people kind of go, it's almost like saying no to something. No is actually a complete sentence. In many ways.
Is. Yes.
And, there's no shame in saying no. Just as there's no shame in saying, do you know what? Not today. I'm not having this conversation today. I've got stuff to do. Actually, that's a better response because you're not hiding. You're not running. You're not moving away from the pain. You're acknowledging it and you're going, hey, right, I'm going to talk about that another day. Not right now. I've got stuff to do. I've got stuff to get on with. And do you know what? Hey, that's okay too.
It is okay. Yeah.
Which is exactly what this session's about. It is about discovering and talking about the hidden cost, because I think, I don't know about you, but I don't believe that burnout is binary. I believe there's the spectrum. And I think a lot of people almost think that, well, if I'm burnt out, I'm going to be in hospital, or I'm going to be, bedridden for 8 weeks, or, something or other. But actually, for me, I believe there's the spectrum that we live on when it comes to burnout. And I actually don't even think the hospitalization is the danger zone. I think that by the time it gets to that, or the 8 weeks in bed, you pass the danger zone. Like, this is no longer Maverick
yes.
territory.
Right.
Because, yeah, Maverick far surpassed this territory. This is you've gone beyond that now.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
The danger zone is really that middle ground. Because the middle ground is the ground where you start to normalize the symptoms.
Yes.
Where you're actually experiencing something and you normalize it because you're apologizing for the behavior. And that keeps you going, right? Because I've certainly seen it, not just myself, but in clients and all the rest of it, where they're like, it snapped and I just said I was sorry. I got really short fused and I said I was sorry. And, Dean Graziosi said this great, which was, he was talking about work-life balance, but it kind of leans into the burnout thing, where he spoke about you'd stand at a door, at your front door, just get home from work. It's been a long day. It's been a tough day. Maybe it's been a tough couple of months. And you stand at the door and you take a couple of deep breaths, because that's what corporate told you to do. Was take a couple of deep breaths, right? I mean, we've got mindfulness training, of course, in the manifesto. And, take a couple deep breaths and you say to yourself, right, I'm okay. I'm fine. Don't kick the dog. That's a person who's not fine.
No.
And you walk through the door and your spouse says to you, or your partner says to you, Dad, you know what? Do you know what the car keys are? And boof, you blow up saying, you're always losing the car keys. You don't. All I asked was where the car keys were.
Right.
It's car keys. It's nothing more than car keys. Let's simplify that down. And I think there's a lot of hidden stuff behind that. I mean, from your experience, what have you seen behind that lens, so to speak?
It could start with just, like a tension headache. And then it intensifies, but you just keep popping ibuprofen or whatever, just saying, I didn't sleep right, or maybe my chair's not ergonomic, or I'm looking at the screen too long, or, I have allergies, or, you keep making excuses for things and you just put it off. And same goes for like indigestion, and you just keep putting it off and putting it off, and then it just compounds. And before you know it, you're like, oh crap, I might have stomach cancer, or I can't get out of bed because I have this debilitating, migraine. And to your point, had you really start to analyze it earlier on, that, I'm not really prone to headaches. So why am I getting headaches? Things like that. But, the example you gave is so true. It could be the most mundane thing that triggers us, and then it just puts us over the edge. And I'll use traffic as an example. Let's say you're really stressed and you got to get to work, to an important meeting, and you're in a hurry, and some bozo pulls in front of you, clearly not paying attention, on their phone, just off in little la la land. Or maybe it's an elderly person. And then you start saying, you shouldn't be driving. You're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. All of these horrible things. And you're like, okay, so clearly you are very stressed. Why are you so stressed? And it's these little triggers that just cause you to explode. And we might laugh at it or whatever, but then we start pointing the finger. Oh, well, it's because of them that they did that. Or, how rude. They just didn't, I'm going in behind somebody in a door and they didn't even like hold the door open for me, and it kind of slammed in my face. It's like, did you even see me? Well, clearly they didn't. So who cares? We're all human. So it's little things like that. I'm sorry, that's not normal behavior. It's not.
And I think, kindness costs nothing, which is something, I've certainly taught my daughter, kindness costs nothing at the end of the day. And so if you're finding yourself that, and I think, we've all gone through those motions where people have held a door for us. They have treated us with respect, and we all love those moments. And I think internally we always go like, oh, I want to be like that. Like, that's how I'd like to live my life. So it's a case of, well, if you're reacting negatively to that, there is obviously clearly something going on beneath that surface. I mean, you spoke on, some health related issues there, and it was actually quite interesting leading into this conversation. Obviously, it's 7 p.m. here where I am, 7:10, and leading into dinner, I was just having a quick chat to my father-in-law, and he was asking about what we were going to talk about tonight, and he spoke about something he's always thought about, which is a few years ago he actually had a quadruple bypass.
Oh wow! Wow.
And a valve replacement at the same time. And he said to me, when he thinks back, he thinks a lot of his health related issues were work.
Oh, of
He'd wake up
course.
early, he'd work, he'd then do breakfast, take kids to school, come back, work, he'd do the things, dinner, put the kids to bed, work until 11 p.m., rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And it took a toll. And he openly was very vulnerable with me on it and said, hey, look, it affected relationships, affected my health potentially. Like, these are things, we know about the link to cardiovascular disease, sleep disorders,
Oh yeah.
weakened immune functions. We know type 2 diabetes related to stress, right? These are not so-called hidden costs so much as realities that if stress goes unmanaged, your health sends you the paycheck. We said that last week, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Is the case of like, you're going to get the invoice. Your body's going to give you that invoice. That's inevitable. Yep. But the hidden costs here, really, when you look at that gray zone, where we're that danger zone, that middle ground, one of the key ones, really, from a personal perspective, are relationships.
Oh, so much. Yeah.
Emotional withdrawal, irritability, aggression that just spills into personal life. And you almost become the person that nobody wants to be around.
That was me. That was so me. I had gone, except in the workplace. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to show that way in the workplace. But then, you're working so many hours. I was working close to 80 hours a week. And I was so depleted and I had to put on this facade. So I got home and who took the brunt of it? My husband. And I was a freaking nightmare to be around. Yep. And I mean, it got so bad that he just finally said, you know what? I love you, but I don't like you. You're a nightmare to be around. And I don't care what you do, but you have got to get out of that job because it is killing you. And he was so right. And that's unfortunately, that is what we do. We tend to take it out on those closest to us. Yeah. And it's often family members, friends. It could even be somebody who you don't work for, but it could be a colleague, or a mentor or somebody too. And you just bite their head off. And it's just, that's not okay.
No, it's not okay. And I think, I think a lot of people who might be watching this, whether it's watching it live, watching it on repeat, maybe even watching it in 2 years' time, if you're watching this, right, it's phrases that we tell ourselves. Those are the hidden, like, that's the way to spot this. Because I think a lot of people are going, well, you're telling me about the hidden cost, but how do I actually see it? Like, how do I get myself out of that? What are the what do I have to recognize, right? And it's a case of saying, things like, I'm just tired. I'll be better at the weekend. Or they know I love them, so I don't need to say it.
Oh.
I snapped at my wife, but I apologized. So now it's fine.
No.
Right. Right. My kids are fine. They're resilient. They, it's fine. They'll be okay. They can cope. Your kids need you. Like,
they do.
Your spouse, your partner, they need you. Your community, even if if you're single, your community needs you. Like, people need you.
Yeah, they do.
And they do. When you talk to yourself in that fashion, you think it's okay in the moment, but the problem is say it once means you say it twice. Means you say it 4 times. Means you say it 8 times, 16 times, until eventually it catches up with you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
People are like, yeah.
But that's the reality of it. Like, it's
so
it's inevitability. It's not a case of, oh, well, I can, unless you get some kind of, dare I call it intervention? That's not an intervention, but you get my point. It's that moment of like somebody like you going, I'm going to be vulnerable. I need some help. Or somebody actually stepping into your life and saying, hey, listen, no, time now. Let's go. You kind of need that in order to come out of it. Because
100%.
When you've dug that, I mean, you've been there, I've been there. When you're in the pit, it's a pit of despair.
Yep.
It's a spiral. And to dig yourself out of it, you ain't doing it alone. I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah, you can't. You need help.
Impossible.
Yeah.
And you wake up 3 years later and you go, children stopped, bringing problems to you. Your partner stopped trying to reach you. Your marriage is functional but completely hollow. Friendship dissolved. Like, I don't want to be dramatic about it, but that is actually where it does go. I've certainly lost friendships. I openly say it, as I said last week, I nearly lost everything that mattered the most to me in the second burnout. And I'm not ashamed of that. It's just a reality of what it was. I learned, and I have an incredible support system around me. Find your support system. So, yeah, it's a fascinating space to be in. I think, the health stuff, we know about the health stuff. You've touched on leadership. Now I want to go there because I, appreciate we're going 25 minutes here. So kind of got to blast this one a bit. But I think there's a lot of leadership elements here that probably need to be spoken about openly.
Huge, yeah.
Because I don't know if you're aware, and let me ask you this question actually. If I was to say to you, okay, so obviously we know burnout costs the global economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's primarily the turnovers due to the loss of turnovers due to loss of productivity, obviously, because if somebody's burnt out, they're either not at work, i.e. not being productive, or they're coming to work 60%, 40%, not productive. So if I say to you, okay, what do you think the current estimate is of the annual loss of turnover globally due to burnout? And this has been studied. What do you think the number would be?
70%.
No, let's talk in dollars.
Oh, in dollar. Oh, I couldn't even. I don't know. Tell.
$322 billion.
Oh, yeah, that's frightening. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
It's a lot.
It is. And with leaders, like you said, with leaders, it's the whole leadership capacity thing, and especially the farther up they go, because they don't have all the support that they had when they were at a lower level. And so they don't necessarily have the resources available for people, that they can go to. And then they have to find them outside of work. That's really what they have to do. But yeah, it's just, there's this fixation on productivity. And we had talked about this last week that, it's so many organizations focus on productivity over well-being. And there has to be a balance. Yes, profits are important for organizations to be in business. Of course. I mean, I'm not stupid, but at the same time, you can't expect to just, pound into people. It's productivity over everything else. I mean, you're going to just burn out every single person. And then they're so depleted that they can't do anything. And a lot of times for leaders, it's their cognitive ability starts to go. It's they're no, I'm still fine. I can do this, and maybe they're not shouting at people or whatever, but they don't have the clarity that they used to, and problem solving gets harder. And often in cases, it does affect the team too. So there's so many components to it.
No, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And I think it's quite interesting when we talk about cognitive ability in specifically as well, because I think a lot of people could say, oh, but the organization's fine, and in many ways it is okay because it is still performing. There is still a return on investment. There's still profit. There's still all these other things, However, let's just say this. I've been in organizations where actually teams have been really high performing, okay? In terms of the capacity of the team. So, but the team wasn't necessarily executing to the level that it had to execute at. And I would go, okay, well, why? Why is this happening? And it does point to the leader, right? It really does. Because we could talk about it actually, what could also be even worse is that the leader is going down the road of burnout, and actually they are then the result of the team not doing the job properly.
Right.
So
it's a snowball effect.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the 3 World Health Organization defined dimensions of burnout is reduced professional efficacy. That's one of the 3. And it shows up in things like declining decision-making quality, inability to prioritize, increased cynicism towards colleagues and direct reports, obviously. And basically a leader who is absolutely physically present, but cognitively and emotionally absent, right?
Mhm.
And so what happens in those moments is that leader is unable to empower the team to do the job. So the team gets confused and then doesn't do the job, but then that burns the leader even more, because now they're like, why isn't the team doing it? I gave them an instruction. Or guess what? I better do it myself.
Mhm.
And compounding effect says this is a problem.
Yes.
And a
Yes.
big
Huge problem.
right? And what then goes is you then get to that point is, and we've said it before, is that you find yourself saying things like, I just don't have the bandwidth right now.
Mhm.
My question is, why not? What happened to your bandwidth? Like, it was
Mhm.
there. Why don't you have it now?
Mhm.
Worst is you get that, I used to love this job. Ooh,
Oh, I
ding,
hear
ding,
that all the
ding.
time. Yeah.
Like, that's a bad thing, or I love this as well. I have this with a lot of with a lot of clients, where they say, because a lot of some of my work I do with understanding politics within companies, and they say, oh, but I don't care about the politics anymore. I just need to get through another day.
Ugh.
It's like, I'm terribly sorry, but if your words are, I just have to get through another day, there is a problem. So we talk about hidden costs. A lot of the hidden costs, yes, relationships, health, capacities, efficacies. But the way to spot these are through these language patterns you're using,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
we see it time and time and time again. It's not uncommon. You're not alone. You're not the first. You won't be the last. Things
No.
like, I used to have ideas. Now I just react. My team should be able to figure this out. I don't understand. And then you become short. You toughen up. I sat in the meeting. Try to contribute. Nobody else wanted to contribute. It's almost I don't care kind of territory.
Yeah, you kind of emotionally check out.
And
Yeah.
you completely checked out. And
Mhm.
again, I go back to this 3 years, down the road is, well, the reputation's quietly shifted. Your team has learned that they can circumvent you,
Mhm.
right? Rather than interact with you. Performance reviews of words like disengaged, difficult to reach. Like, these are things. Careers get stalled if you don't spot the hidden costs, if you don't see what's actually happening. So we talk about hidden costs, and I open it up to you. It's like that hidden cost is very much a case of saying it's the language patterns,
Mhm.
because the hidden costs, the costs themselves, your relationships, your health, your efficacy, those are the costs. But how to spot it is the language. What are you?
Yes.
What are the words you're saying to yourself, not to others necessarily,
Right.
but how are you reacting? What are you telling yourself? What does that mean in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, it's self-sabotage. It's like leading from that negative side of your brain. And I mean, this is what I coach people on is, mental fitness. And all of this stems from a scarcity and lack mindset. And when that's all that you see is, oh, I just got to get through one more day. Oh, I just got to, do this. Oh, God, just, everything. Then everything that you see is negative. And that is, how it filters into other areas of your life. And that negativity bleeds into everybody around you. So that's how we transfer all of these negative emotions.
And I think the thing is, though, is like, not all hope is lost. I think that
No, of
I think
course
that's
not.
I think that's the
No.
beautiful thing about it. Is like, you know, a lot of this can feel exceptionally heavy.
Mhm.
It feel like a lot of weight. And somebody might be watching this and saying, "Oh, yeah, I just, it's too much for me. I'm overwhelmed. I'm like emotion. I just, this feels very heavy." I'll be honest. If anything that we've said feels heavy to anybody, the reality is that you're in that moment, and you should
Yes.
reach out to somebody. Like, it doesn't matter
100%.
who, but reach out to somebody. It could be your parent. It could be just your partner. It could be your kids. Even, like, I don't know, but could be a coach. Could be a mentor. Could be your line manager. But reach out, because if any of it feels heavy, the truth of it is it does carry weight.
It
There is
does.
an extraordinary amount of weight that, unless you're prepared to go, that's me,
Hmm.
unfortunately, it only leads to one road. But I'd like to end on some hope, right?
Yes.
Because we've got to
Yes.
25 minutes, and it's to say that, look, there are tools, there are techniques, there is a path, there is a way through, and it it needs to be targeted, it needs to be intentional. This isn't a scattergun approach, right? And
Has to
really, that's
become habitual. You have
exactly.
to integrate it into your routines throughout your day.
Exactly. But it
Yeah.
doesn't also have to cost you time,
Right.
because this is an investment into yourself to go, right, if I
Hmm.
can do things that can do these other things, then okay, I can get myself on a path. And that
Yes.
path is going to make you feel 100 times lighter. And there are really nice, simple ways of doing this. And of course, that is exactly what we're going to talk about next week.
Yes. It is. And I'm excited about this. Some really, practical tips, some things that you can do. And, keeping it in mind too, it's not going to fix all the world's problems, but it can help you regulate yourself because self-regulation just goes out the window when we get burned out. And this can help you self-regulate so you can get back some mental clarity. You could reach out to somebody, you can have some difficult conversations, and then you can plan on how to move forward. So I'm super excited to talk about this next week. Same time, same channel.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, looking forward to that. Should be good.
Okay. Yes. All right. Bye for now.
See ya.